Hello everyone, welcome to Jeem Apologetics. This is, as always, your host Jeem, and today we're going to do a little bit of a shorter video, get right into the topic of Orthobros, Orthodox women, relationships, Twitter, and the modern age. And I'm going to give a little bit of advice. So for those of you who are not aware of this great cultural milieu, on Twitter there has been some controversy over the actions and relationships concerning Orthobros and their pursuit of women and a stable relationship online. And there's been some backlash from the Orthodox women and their community against the attempts or behaviors or attitudes of the Orthobros. So I'd like to just give a little bit of input here. Not going to do my usual 20-minute rant thing as much as everyone may adore and love when I talk. This should just be quite a simple topic. And my objective here is mainly aimed at the Orthobros. So I hate to say it, somebody has to say it, but approaching a woman and claiming I am Orthodox and I like theology is not enough unless, of course, you are a professional theologian. Okay, I'm not professional, but the point is, unless you yourself are a professor or you're like Jay Dyer and you're an author and you have your own show and this is how you bring bread to the table, you're a professional and austere in your scholarship, respected by a community, then you can brag about how much theology you have. If not, you should still learn theology to increase your depth increase your knowledge of the depth of orthodoxy, its pure beauty, and its intellectual prowess. But, I hate to break it to you, women, Orthodox women, are not going to be impressed by a guy who just says, hey, I'm just a guy who, I'm Orthodox and I like theology, so let's do this, Let's go to dinner and then get married and have kids. Why don't you want to be with me? I'm Orthodox like you. And let's put it into some perspective. There is a difference between, even if everyone in America became Orthodox, there's a difference between today's Orthodoxy and the way it's practiced, the way people act, compared to 1700s rural village in Serbia. And I'm talking about the culture here only, not theology. Theology will always stay the same, for Orthodoxy at least. Can't speak for other denominations that change their theology whenever the wind moves. But the long story short is, if you were in a rural village in Serbia or Russia in like the 16 or 1700s, and you announced that you are Orthodox, what the response would be? It would be, yeah, so what? So is my grandmother, and my brother, and my father, and my mom, and everyone around here is Orthodox. Like, what else are you bringing to the table? See how that wouldn't be enough. We're always talking about living in an ideal Orthodox society. Well, if everyone's Orthodox, you being Orthodox ceases to be something unique and amazing. So what am I telling you? To quit and stop being Orthodox? No, what I'm saying is you need to be more than just announcing you are Orthodox. It's important that we fall into a relationship with someone that we know we can share our values, tradition with, and raise children together. So yes, the Orthodoxy is important. The theology is important because you should increase your knowledge of Orthodoxy, of course. And also, you'll be able to defend your faith and pass it on more fruitfully to your youth so they don't apostatize and become atheists when they're moody teenagers. However, that's just a part of a relationship. A relationship involves people who love each other coming together to form a family. And the way to attract a woman, and again, I'm not talking to the Orthodox women here, I'm talking to the Orthobros. The way to attract a woman is to be a self-sufficient, well-adapted, grown-up, mature, adult man who also happens to be Orthodox. The Orthodoxy is your armor, it is your values, it is your tradition, but it does not describe everything in your personality. What are your personal hobbies? What do you do for a career, for example? Or how do you lead in the house? Remember, the man is supposed to be the leader of the house, and Christ is supposed to be our leader. What does it mean to be a leader of the house? Does it mean to be a dictator, like famous Austrian painter Rudolf Hegler? Or does it mean to be a leader who inspires others? It's the second option. A man should be a leader who inspires everybody in the household, the children, the wife. So if you are looking for a future wife, you have to be a leader. Again, not a tyrant or a dictator. You have to be confident, but that doesn't necessarily mean overly aggressive and loud. In fact, those can sometimes be compensations for people who are not confident. The point is, you have to be a secure man who is adapted to this world, who will be a good provider, who will be a good supporter, who will be someone that they can love, cherish, and most importantly, depend upon. I'm not going to get into it because I'm not a psychoanalyst here, but female and male sexuality are completely different, which is why you can never be transgender, among a plethora of other reasons. But the main purpose is that women in their selectivity are much different than men in their selectivity. A lot of Orthobros will go online, see a picture of a girl with some like Renaissance style painting and an Orthodox emoji and go, that's it, that's going to be my wife. No woman acts like that. No woman goes online, sees a guy who has an emoji and goes, I want to make that guy my husband. It's just not what happens. The best way to find a woman, if you're an Orthobro, if I can give you any advice, become a fully realized man first, then go for the woman. Become a fully realized man first. And what does that mean? Like I said, a secure, confident man who knows what he wants out of life. The orthodoxy is the values and the tradition. But again, if we were living in like the medieval times, you couldn't just say, yo, I'm Orthodox. Like, that's not enough. Everyone's Orthodox. Ideally, everyone will become Orthodox. What's your plan then? How will you be unique if everybody is Orthodox? Right? That's you have to show who you are as a person. You know, if we're in some village where everybody's Orthodox, does that automatically mean we all have the same personality? No. Does it automatically mean a woman should fall in love with you just because you're Orthodox? No, I'm sorry. That's just not how the world works. You have to be who you are, and people will love you for who you are, and women will want to be with you for who you are. Not every woman, okay? Every woman's different. They have different opinions, different desires. But to sum it up, you want to be a leader. You want to be confident. You want to be confident in who you are. And excuse the foul language here, but I'm going to say it. Everyone knows about it and no one talks about it. But a lot of times women tend to pull the shit test on men. What is the shit test, Jeem? The shit test is basically when a woman's trying to figure out just how confident and strong a man is. Now, I'm not talking about physical strength, but how strong and resolute you are in the foundation of your principles. So sometimes a woman, not always, but sometimes a woman will intentionally test a man and try to make him compromise his morals, his beliefs, and things that he wants to stand his ground on. A man who stands his ground will be appreciated and respected, more than one who is so desperate that he will do anything for attention, change anything in his personality or his life just to please a woman. Now, that said, when you marry a woman, there is compromise. You know, you're going to have a house that's friendly for a woman to live in and children to be raised in. You're going to have to help around the house. You're going to have to be a supportive husband. Part of the deal of wanting tradition, by the way, no one has talked about this. I see it talked about all the time on Islamic Twitter, and I believe it needs to be mentioned right now to the Orthodox before anybody gets further down this path. If you want to have the traditional lifestyle, well, the tradition is that the man provides. I'm sorry, but that's just what it is. Now, if the woman you love or are going to love or are in a relationship with also has her own job, makes her own money, that's excellent. That's a bonus. That's great. You know, in today's society, most women do have jobs. Great. You don't have to stop them. That's not what I'm saying. But you, as a man, need to have the expectation that you are the provider. Okay? What does Gus Fring say? A man provides. There you go. There's your Zoomer memeology. Gus Fring is even telling you to provide, so do it. In all seriousness, though, how can you expect to have a woman who's a stay-at-home wife if you cannot provide the lifestyle for a stay-at-home wife, you know? So when you're 17, you don't need to be thinking about these things, but just have them in the back of your mind. Right? You want the traditional lifestyle, you want a woman to be traditional, you yourself must be traditional. And that means not being a coomer who watches anime till 4:30 in the morning, doesn't have a job, and their entire personality is just spam posting and troll posting on Twitter against RC papists, who, by the way, are also like 15 years old. That's not the kind of behavior women are looking for. So let's round everything up. Your whole personality can't just be online orthobro. Also, in addition to that, that's not even true orthodoxy. Praying and going to liturgy is true orthodoxy. What we're doing online, I'm just trying to help people understand theology. I engage in apologetics because I want to. But that's not the crux of all of orthodoxy. Okay? Copying Jeem is not all of orthodoxy. Being a Jeem fanboy is not all of orthodoxy. You have to actually pursue orthodoxy. And if following the knowledge of famous YouTubers helps you, excellent. But you also need to have a spiritual life. In addition, you need to be a confident, fully realized, stable, mentally and financially stable man in order to attract a woman. That's just how it is. You cannot change female sexuality. And no, this isn't the gold digger phenomenon. Every woman needs a man who can provide at least somewhat. There are some women who care only about money. But every woman, eventually, when they get to a certain age and they're an adult and want children, well, you're going to need to provide for that. That's the other point. You cannot expect a traditional stay-at-home wife, housewife, if you cannot be the traditional provider husband. And thirdly, you know, I'm actually forgetting what the third point was, but you get it. You get it. We've talked about pretty much everything there. Sometime in the future, I'll give more advice on how to deal with a woman in a relationship. So how do you stay strong as a man while also not being a tyrant or a jerk? And how do you be pleasant without being a nice guy? Oh, sorry, that's not the third point. I forgot what the third point was. The fourth point is, don't be a nice guy. All right, it shouldn't even be stated anymore on the internet, but women don't like nice guys, and there's two versions of nice guys, and they don't like either of them. Number one is the fake I'm a nice guy, who's really just, and I mean this literally, I'm not just insulting, an actual incel who's very bitter towards women and acts like a nice guy by saying, hello, I'm a nice guy, go out with me. Oh, you don't? Well, I guess you're just a you-know-what, swear word, blink, 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 spam your phone, oh, please, go out with me. That kind of nice guy is a volatile character. That's not really a nice human being at all. And then the second version of nice guy is really just a weak pushover. Orthodoxy says that we need to love our neighbors. We need to pray for others. That does not mean be a pushover. No woman wants to be with a pushover, and no church that is a proper apostolic church is teaching you to be a pushover. So I don't know where that's coming from. Don't be a nice guy, and don't be a pushover nice guy either. That's it.